Right, guys, this is Charlie Wall. I'm trying again. I've had real problems with doing Facebook Lives, and I just want to check that my sound's okay. Can you let me know if you're watching this video, if the sound is okay? Last week, I tried to do something, and it was all bitty, so I had to do a pre-recorded version, which I might have to do. Let me know if you can hear this. Let me know how it sounds. And I'm just gonna pause and see if I can hear myself. Okay, can you let me know if you're watching yourself? Okay. It looks like you can hear me this time. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Facebook at the moment. That's the second time I've recorded something, and it's like, it goes like this. Great, thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Sheridan. I'll start again. Right, okay. So my question of the week, welcome everybody. Probably got more people than usual now because of this brilliant technology, which I love. Now, I had a question from Rose, and now I've lost the question because I was looking at whether I could hear myself. So let me go see if I can find it. Okay. Charlie, I need your help to chase away negative thoughts. I had a traumatic childhood, and at times when I feel low, I become paranoid that people want to harm me and be nasty to me. So what I want to say to you, Rose, is firstly, you're not alone. You're not alone. Thank you for sharing this with me. I think hundreds of people everywhere in the world experience these difficult, negative, brilliant, Michelle. Thank you for letting me know. Everyone everywhere, like if you're listening to this now or later, let me know so Rose can see that she's not alone in experiencing negative thoughts. Now, the thing with Rose is that what she says is that she had a traumatic childhood. So she has, basically, her brain has gone cause and effect. So she's had a traumatic childhood, which I'm really sorry to hear, Rose. And then what she's doing is she's creating a link between the trauma and the negative thoughts that she's experiencing now. So that's the first thing to say. So what we all experience is thought. What we all experience is life through thought. So you're listening to me and you are experiencing that through your thinking. Now, what also happens is that we have a brain, a brilliant brain, which is always trying to look out for us, okay? And it likes the content and it creates stories. And that's why we get drawn into books, we get drawn into drama, we get drawn into films, we like TV programs, because our brain loves to create a story. But your brain is basically a machine, and it's grabbing on to information and trying to join the dots to keep you alive. Now, if you've experienced trauma at any time, but for Rose, she's experienced trauma in her childhood. She hasn't explained the detail of the trauma, but I imagine that she was hurt as a child. So what her brain has done, because it's trying to keep her alive, is made her super vigilant, super aware, and on the lookout for people that may be horrible to her or may be nasty to her. And of course, that's created this almost like this rucksack of fear. And if you've heard the sort of acronym for fear, it's like false evidence appearing real. So the brain creates this story that that person's going to be horrible to you, that person's going to be horrible to you, and you end up kind of being, I think she uses the word, when I feel low, I become paranoid that people want to harm me. So the brain is just trying to protect you by preempting, like almost like that person's going to be horrible to you, so you better be careful. That person's going to be horrible to you. Now, that's a terrible place to live from if you don't know that you're already fundamentally well. If you don't know that your brain is a machine and has a negativity bias that's on the lookout for bad things to happen, but it can only do that because it's only got the past. So it brings these threads of the past into our present all the time. It's joining the dots for you, but it's coming up with essentially an waking nightmare. And when we experience these daymares, which is essentially what they are, we experience this movie, we believe our thoughts, which are telling us harmful things. If we believe them, then we live in this fear, we live in paranoia, we live in anxiety, and life can be very difficult. Now, what I teach is that, firstly, Rose, you are well all the time. You are fundamentally, absolutely well, and you experience thinking. So you've got to just sort of imagine that thoughts are flying along all the time. And if one of these thoughts comes along that has meaning for you, you will make it mean something. And that's the thing that the brain does. The brain makes meaning of content, meaning of our stories, and it comes from this this sort of foundational core belief that I'm not good enough, and that I can get life wrong, and that I'm vulnerable to people hurting me. And when we get caught up in that content, it's a bit like we get sucked into this sort of vortex of feeling everything that we're thinking. If we get caught up in the content, it's like being stuck in quicksand. It grips you in the experience of fear, of paranoia, of thinking there are people out to get you. And we're all doing this. We don't realise we're doing this because our brain's always creating a story, always creating content. But you've got to imagine that your thoughts, mostly, they're lying to you, right? And your feelings are your guide. And every time, I mean, you very intuitively, Rose, have said here, when I feel low, I become paranoid. Now, what that tells me is that on some level, intuitively, you have a sense that when you're low, your feelings and your thoughts aren't to be trusted. And if you haven't said when I'm feeling well, I'm okay. You've only alluded to when I feel low, I become paranoid. Now, we call that the way that we sort of see that in this field of working with humans is it's like you're almost like on the elevator of consciousness. So if I'm low, if I'm in the basement in the elevator, everything looks difficult to me. People look like they can annoy me. You know, the weather sucks, my life sucks, my job sucks, my partner sucks, my children suck, other people's children suck. I mean, I'm in this sort of like, you know, place in my mind where everything's annoying me. But if I come up here, and sometimes we all just wake up and we feel happy, things like that don't have impact on us so much. So the feeling is your guide to whether you should take your thinking seriously or not. Now, this doesn't take away the trauma that you experienced, Rose. And the thing about that is that if we're forever reliving our past experience, we've only got this moment right now. So all we're doing is we're sort of bringing a memory into this moment, and then we're re-experiencing it, re-traumatizing ourselves, if you like. And that's why a lot of people who do sort of real deep psychotherapeutic work can often feel absolutely exhausted because they're bringing the trauma back into this moment right now and re-experiencing it. Those neurological stress responses are being fired up and fired up and fired up. If you don't know that you're doing that innocently, and then you're looking outside and thinking that all these people can harm you, but you're only doing that when you're low, then it looks like you're being gripped by fear, gripped by paranoia, gripped by your childhood experiences that still feel like they can have an impact on you now, and you're not seeing at the moment where your wellness is, where your health is, how you have moments of peace, how when you are feeling happier, these things don't happen. And that's what I'd get curious about. Like, how come it's only when I'm low? Because there's the sort of key in the feeling being your guide and trying to wake you up. There's kindness in our design. You know, that's what's so fascinating to me about this understanding, is that if I feel low, it kind of wakes me up out of it, and I'm like, oh, I'm not to be trusted. My thinking's not to be trusted. It's not to be trusted. And I see this evidence to me over and over and over again with the people that I talk to, my clients, my groups. We explore this much more deeply in my circle community. We explore this much more deeply in my freedom program. But for now, Rose, I just want to say that I acknowledge your courage for coming forwards and expressing a desire to see that there's hope here, to see that this isn't necessarily a script for the rest of your life. You can see in your question, you can see that it's only when you're feeling low. So get curious about that, and just know that a brain is a machine, that it loves the content, and every time we get caught in content, we get sucked into quicksand and we lose sight of our wellness. We lose sight of your resilience, and you lose sight of how you've gotten through life this far. And that's a wonderful place to start looking, rather than at the problems, the intrusive thoughts, your brain connecting the dots between your childhood and your current reality. But there is hope. That's what I want you to know. There is hope. And there's lots of women on here who will attest to that if they're listening. So thank you, Rose, for the question. Thank you guys for sticking with me and telling me my sound was better. I'm not sure what's going on, but anyway. Lucy, you've got my other pair, haven't you? Guys, I'll see you later. And those of you that are in the circle group, we've got our group coaching in 10 minutes. So, bye.